Hare Krishna, Bimla Prasad Prabhuji and Yajya Dhanish Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Bimla Prasad Prabhuji. I am Rasraman Krishnadas here.
This is, yeah. Now I understand.
Hare Krishna. Yes, how are you?
Just, I'm good. Just waiting for others to come in. And
Yeah, okay,
waiting for Ananda Lila Mataji to join me.
Okay, yeah, Mataji. Yeah, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Nice to see you after so long time.
I thank you. I thank you. So, welcome our guest Ananda Lila Mataji over here. And I mean, this is like we are at the last stage, last phase of Bhakti Sastri. And hopefully, we'll be finishing our Bhakti Sastri before the end of July. So, like a fast track in that sense. I will just give a brief introduction of Ananda Lila Mataji because the time, I mean, like we are on time. So Ananda Lila Mataji is, amongst other things, my personal teacher. I've been a student of Ananda Lila Mataji for the past 6 years. And she is, would be surprised to know, she is basically from Delhi, but now based in Mayapur. And she is one of the, I mean, not exactly pioneer, but one of the first teachers for Mayapur Academy, pristine institute under the care of the ISKCON Deity Worship Ministry, where they teach basically deity worship, the entire ISKCON. And she is, I mean, she's actually a multi-talented personality. But for this one, I would just limit myself to her introduction as a teacher and a preacher also. Mataji is teaching deity worship, training devotees first time in deity worship for the past 10 years. More than 10 years actually, I think around 11 years. And She is also the art director of uh, an enterprise called Mayapur Divine Threads, which is basically a department in, it's called Mayapur, which takes care whatever like nice dresses you wear, you see Panchtatva, Radha Madhava, Saki wearing, Ashinde wearing, that's her doing. So that's some of the additional things. I mean, uh, I cannot hold myself back telling things. I can go on, but for this unit, she will be guiding us and facilitating for nectar of instruction for the next 8 lessons. So, without much ado, I would hand over the floor to Anandila Machi, and I hope and I'm sure that all the students will be greatly uh, benefited from the wisdom she has, more than like anything, the spiritual wisdom she has, a wisdom she has acquired in around 40 years. Yes, you're right. She is like a devotee since 1984. So we have got a lot to learn from her. Thank you. Over to you, Anandila Maji. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Vimla Prasad Prabhu, for the kind introduction. I'm very honored and grateful to be among all of you present and discuss this very important book called Nectar of Instruction, which is your last part, your last section of Bhakti Sastri on this journey of, I would say, like, I think it was 12 weeks, 4 months. So it's coming to an end. And here we are going to be discussing and seeing what Nectar of Instruction book is about. Before I start, I would like to ask Yagyadhanish Prabhu if he is here. And after some time, probably I would want the class to be breaking rooms. So if he would be there to help us with that. Yagyadhanish Prabhu, are you there?
Yes, the first Mataji, we can do that.
Okay. It will be a while when we get it to probably towards the last part. So, okay, thank you, Prabhu. So, as we know, this section name is Nectar of Instruction. So, let us first see how this actually came about, this book. When Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Puri, once he took devotees to the ocean, and when he saw the ocean, which was blue, that reminded him of Shama Sundar. We also often see things, but not every time we get reminded of Krishna. Maybe sometimes, but most of the times not. But that was not the case with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Whatever he used to see, he used to speak, it was all Krishnaized. And he went into trance and spiritual ecstasy, and it was difficult for the devotees to bring him back. Somehow they brought him back to the external consciousness. And when he came to the consciousness, he gave many instructions which were recorded. And Srila Rupa Goswami, being one of his foremost and best disciple among many of them, he recorded those instructions. And those are these 11 verses called as nectar of instruction, and they are highly advantageous and very much required for all of us sadhakas in the path of bhakti yoga. So let me share my screen and we can start the PowerPoint. Is it um is it visible for you all?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So Upadeshamrita, the nectar of instruction. So this is lesson 1. As Bimla Prasad Prabhu was mentioning, this unit will be taken in 8 lessons or 8 days. And this nectar of instruction has 11 verses. And today we will be looking at text 1, preface and text 1. See, in Srila Prabhupada's books, as we see in Bhagavad Gita also, introduction is very, very important. Because to understand something, we need to have a bit of an idea of what is it all about, and then we can dive deep into that subject matter. So we will be looking into the preface and then text 1, and eventually we will be getting along with the other verses as well. So before, as I was discussing, that Srila Rupa Goswami, he recorded those instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So let us see who is Srila Rupa Goswami. This is the pranam mantra for Srila Rupa Goswami. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. I assume that many of you who have been in the movement for quite a few years or some time must have gone through this verse. So let us see what it actually means. So this translates as when will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet. So it's very important for us to beg to and seek permission to this great personality in our line of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, who has wrote actually in numerous amount of literature and philosophy explaining many aspects in the path of bhakti, he has established within this material world a mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya. So we are seeking blessings and asking permission so that he gives us shelter under his lotus feet. So here these words are very, very important. It says Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam. Sri Chaitanya of Lord Chaitanya. Mana is within the mind. And Abhishta means what is desired. We have often heard that a very good disciple is one who understands before the Guru speaks out what he wants or what he desires. So he is one of those best disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was empowered and had the understanding to see and understand and assimilate what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted. And at the same time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also empowered him to do so. This verse is from Madhya, CC Madhya. Shri Rupa Hridaye Prabhu Shakti Sancharila Sarvatattva Nirupine Pravina Karila. So it means by entering the heart of Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu empowered him to ascertain properly the conclusions of all truth. And he made him an experienced devotee whose decisions correctly agreed with the verdicts of the disciplic succession. Thus, Sri Rupa Goswami was personally empowered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This empowerment is, we can see, because of this empowerment, he wrote volumes of literature for us. And this one is quite a beginning or basic, you can see. Even though basic, it has a lot deep to be understood. So here he impregnated the heart of Mahaprabhu, impregnated the heart of Rupa Goswami with those teachings. It's not that he was just like, we also know that when he met Rupa Goswami, met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was first time, second time, he was very happy to meet him because he could see that this is a person he has at caliber to understand and propagate this mission of Bhakti Yoga. So this is Rupa Goswami. Also, being the embodiment of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic love, Rupa Goswami was naturally very beautiful. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expanded his mercy to Rupa Goswami just so he could render service by writing transcendental literatures. He was quite similar in appearance, and he was very beautiful with his big eyes and his appearance. And Mahaprabhu expanded his mercy so that he could just render service to this mankind, to all the devotees, by writing these many literatures and philosophy, explaining. There are so many commentaries on, like you would have also completed Nectar of Devotion, that was also by Sri Rupa Goswami. And in Krishna's, here in Mahaprabhu's Lila is Rupa Goswami, and in Krishna's Lila he is Rupa Manjari, assisting Srimati Lalita Devi, and he is the head, taking the service from all the manjaris and offering it to Lalita Devi, who in turn offers it to Sri Krishna and Radharani. So here in this preface also, Srila Prabhupada writes, if you would have read, I hope all of you have this book with you, Prabhupada's book, Nectar of Instruction. The first line Srila Prabhupada starts is, the Krishna consciousness movement is conducted under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami. So that's a very, very important line and instruction from Srila Prabhupada to us, that we are actually followers of Rupa Goswami. So that makes us Rupanuga. Anuga means one who follows. So we are following Rupa Goswami. And our Krishna conscious movement is conducted under the supervision of His Grace, Rupa Goswami. Also, to understand the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and follow in the footsteps, one must very seriously follow in the footsteps of the six Goswamis. See, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu initiated this, like we as Gaudiyas, we follow Mahaprabhu. And what were his teachings to understand that we need to follow in the footsteps of the six Goswamis, who were his direct disciples. And they have given that in their teachings, how we can understand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions and advance. And Sri Rupa Goswami was a leader of all the Goswamis. Though we see Sanatana Goswami was elder to him in age, but Rupa Goswami was the leader, and he guided um, them, and to guide our activities, he gave us this Upadeshamrita, nectar of instruction to follow. Like we say, nectar of instruction, Upadeshamrita. I think most of you are from India and Delhi, so probably understand a bit. Um, if we look grossly at these words, Upadesha means instruction and Amrita means nectar. So these are the nectar of instructions which were given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and recorded by Rupa Goswami for us to follow, for the sadhakas. And we see, and I believe if many of you are from Delhi, must have visited Vrindavan. And at Sri Radha Damodar temple, we have the Bhajan Kutir and the Samadhi of Sri Rupa Goswami. On one side, it's the like here is the Bhajan Kutir and here is the Samadhi that we can see, where he performed his bhajana and Samadhi. And this is where Srila Prabhupada also stayed before, when he was translating the books, before he head on to the West for preaching. And this is where he was given the vision of going to the Western countries and preach. I mean, though he got the instructions from his Guru Maharaj, Rupa Goswami kind of gave him that, came in his dream and instructed him that he must go, and gave him all the blessings. And Prabhupada used to lecture. So for Prabhupada, we all must have heard and read and that Prabhupada was giving lectures here before he had on to West. And also this is the place he was taking prasadam, and he started his initial work of translating the literatures. And still now, as many of us can go and take darshan over there, the Prabhupada's room is kept as it is, and his kitchen where it was cooked and he had his prasadam. This is quite old times, and now everything is covered. And this time I went to Vrindavan, it had these artificial trees with leaves. Anyhow, it was an open area for all of us who had been there 15-20 years ago, and or even probably 10 years ago, but now it's quite changed. Okay, so before we move ahead, does anyone has any question, or we can go ahead? You can probably maybe raise hand or ask question. All right. I hope everyone is here because I don't see any. I see all the videos being off, so I assume everyone is here.
Yes, Mataji, don't worry, we are here only.
Okay. Okay. All right. So now let's move to the purpose of, see, any book. When you write, we have a purpose. What was the point of writing, taking that effort of writing that book? So let us look into that. Here in preface, Prabhupada says, one must promote himself to the platform of goodness, Sattva Guna, by following the instructions of Rupa Goswami, and then everything concerning how to make further progress will be revealed. So coming into this, like as we're practicing devotees, when we first come in Krishna consciousness, we are what's the word, like we are preached that there are some do's and there are some don'ts, so that you come to this Sattva. So there are the following of the four regulatory principles and chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So that brings us to somewhat a kind of, goodness. And by following these instructions, which we'll be following through, then everything concerning how to make further progress will be revealed. Because to be in a class, it's something like if you want to be in a class, you need to have a certain how you say qualification. Like if you want to get admission in a college, one has to um, pass pass his higher secondary examination, or what you in India we call as 12th grade. So unless you have that, you can't get into the college or the higher studies or university. For that student to understand what's going on in there. So it's something of that sort. So what we have to bring ourselves into the mode of Sattva so that our understanding becomes more clear and we can make further progress. And to achieve the highest success in life by becoming a Goswami and then a pure devotee of the Lord, one must follow the instruction known as Upadeshamrita, which have been given by Srila Rupa Goswami. Here also Prabhupada explains what a Goswami means. And in the end of the preface, Srila Prabhupada writes here, it's in the end where before he does his signatures, he writes Upadeshamrita constitutes the first instructions for neophyte devotees. One should follow these instructions very strictly. Then it will be easier to make one's life successful. So, and we all want to be successful. As we want to be successful in our material life, uh, since we have come in Krishna consciousness, I believe we all of us want to be successful in our spiritual life as well. And Prabhupada is giving that, instructing that these instructions which are in these books, in these 11 verses, they are for neophyte devotees. And if we follow them very strictly, then our life will be successful. And here, Srila Prabhupada also explains in the preface, like in the previous one, it was Goswami, where he explains that when one who can control his senses, then he becomes a master of his senses, and one who cannot, he becomes a godas, he becomes a servant of his senses. Now, in these coming verses, we will see how and why we have to do and how we can do it. So this was the purpose of Nectar of Instruction. Actually, this book we could divide in different ways. You will see as we move along. This is one way how this is being sectioned, you can say. The text 1 to 7, it tells us about Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Basically do's and don'ts and how we should interact externally and internally. And text 8 tells us about Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. And 9 to 11, it tells about Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti, which are the, there are 9 progressive stages. You must have read that in your Nectar of Devotion. That's where it's coming from. And this other way how we have sectioned this for the purpose of teaching, you could say. Like today is lesson 1, where we have preface and text 1. The text one has Controlling the Six Urges by Krishna Consciousness. And the lesson 2 is, which covers the text 2 and 3, which are 6 favorable and 6 unfavorable activities. And text 4, 6 kinds of loving exchanges, how we um, reciprocate with devotees, what we could do to associate with them. And 5 and 6 texts are attitudes toward devotees, and the highest stage and conclusion in the text 7 to 11. So Gaurav Prabhu, what's your question?
Hare Krishna, ma'am. Thank you, Mataji, for taking us this class. So I have a small question here, Mataji. In the preface, there is a line. It is written that advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. So can you please few points of what are the several attitude that we as a follower must develop? We can advance in our Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, this was the next slide, and I was going to ask you this question. So just hold on a few seconds, and we will see that. And if you cannot answer, we will see what's the answer to this. Thank you, Prabhu. So until here, we see how the lessons are being sectioned, or the texts are being sectioned. This is for the ease of teaching and learning. Like here we are, learning these technically how it's been done. Okay, so coming to Gaur Prabhu's question, advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. So, what does attitude mean? What do you mean by attitude? We often say he has got an attitude or she has got an attitude. What does that mean?
Mataji, it simply means the way you feel or the way you behave or the way you approach, things or the way you act. So that is the attitude of the person.
Yes. Yeah. Right. It's a settled way of thinking. Like attitude, as we said. We have. So why Prabhupada is saying that advancement in Krishna consciousness, why it has to depend on the attitude of the follower? What's the problem? Like, if I have got an attitude, what's the problem? Why I cannot advance in Krishna consciousness?
Mataji, attitude necessarily doesn't mean that it needs to be negative. We can always have a positive attitude. So if you have a positive attitude towards something and you're determined that you want to progress in something, so that attitude can take you forward. But on the other hand, if you go for something in a very negative sense, that no, this is this, you're taking out faults, that ultimately can, withdraw you from that same situation as well. So it can be positive, it can be negative.
Yeah, in any situation, when we want to learn something, if we are positive, then we are going to be receiving more, right? If we are negative about anything, we kind of shut things, and then we can't see, we can't, we are in our own bubble, basically. Then how would you, this is not even actually for Krishna consciousness, even for anywhere you go, if we are not open, if we are not positive with that, then how is that learning going to be? Yeah, and how we are going to be advancing, right? Here advancement Krishna consciousness means we are learning and then trying to put that into practice, yeah, and moving ahead, right? So if our attitude, if you're positive about that, then we can advance. And this is a very, very important, how you say, an aspect in spiritual life. It's not about how many degrees you have, or how much is your bank balance, but what's your attitude to accept to Krishna consciousness. And to that degree we can advance in Krishna consciousness.
Mataji, can I say something?
Yes.
Mataji, attitude makes a person. How you think, how you feel, how you act, how you go further, it all depends on the attitude. As Mataji was also saying, that it really depends upon our how we see and act and think. Like as you were also saying that if we have the attitude can be negative and positive both. So, but if we, as we are reading here, Srila Rupa Goswami says that advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. If we have the positive attitude that we really want to advance in Krishna consciousness, then in Bhagavad Gita 10.10, Krishna says, "And Dhammi Buddhi Yogantam Yena Mamupayanti Te." Krishna also gives the intelligence from within, and he sends the guru, spiritual master, everybody, and he also helps in all the way if you want to progress. So it's really very much depend upon the attitude we have to go further and progress in Krishna consciousness.
Thank you Rukmini, Hari Sevini Mataji. Thank you. Upadeshamrita constitutes the first instructions for neophyte devotees. One should follow these instructions very strictly. Then it will be easier to make one's life successful. Okay, so we move ahead. I think with the first verse. Maybe one of you would want to recite this verse.
Can I, Mataji?
Okay, go ahead.
वाचुवेगं मनसः क्रोधवेगं जिह्वावेगं उदरुपस्थवेगं एतान् वेगान् यो विषहेत धीरः सर्वाम् अपि मां पृथिवीं सशिष्यात्.
So this first verse is speaking about the 6 urges. Now this first verse which is talking about is not a direct limb, or it's not direct bhakti. It's something like say the temple is situated on the first floor, okay, and then you need a staircase to reach to the temple. So to reach the temple of bhakti, this is the staircase. The staircase is not temple itself. It's something where you use that to reach the temple. You cross that. So this text one is something like that staircase to reach the temple of bhakti. So these are the 6 urges which Rupa Goswami is speaking about here. It's vacha, of speech. If all of you have the book of Srila Prabhupada, Nectar of Instruction, you can look at the verse and the word-to-word translation. And manasaha, it means of the mind, and krodha means anger, and jiva, tongue, and udara means the belly, upastha, genitals. So these are the 6 urges of the body. And if someone can read the translation.
Yes, Mataji. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you. So these are the 6 urges of the body. And before trying to explain this, Srila Prabhupada in his purport, he's mentioning from Bhagavatam, where Parikshit Maharaj asks that why do people go for atonement if they cannot control their senses. Prayashchita, that is atonement. So in the purport, Prabhupada is explaining that there are there are 3 or 4 ways how a person learns. First, a first class person, he just by seeing and hearing, he understands, okay, this is wrong, and if we do this, then we'll be punished like a thief. You see, you hear that stealing is bad or it's sinful, and then we don't do that because just by hearing and learning, one is not engaged in that kind of activity. And the second kind of person is one who actually goes through that. He steals and then he is punished, and then he's put behind the bars, and then he understands, okay, this is not to be done. And the third kind is the one who, even after going through that, still doesn't understand. As soon as he's out of the jail, he's again back into his previous sinful activities. So prayashchita, atonement, here Prabhupada is saying a sinful activity cannot be counteracted by a pious activity. And real atonement, he says, involves coming to real knowledge. And for this, there is a standard process. When one follows the regulated hygienic process, he does not fall sick. So to follow a regulative hygienic process, that is very important. Like even in material life, if we are hygienic, then we will not, I mean, if you just translate literally into that, if we take shower every day, we wear clean clothes, we eat fresh food, then it's less chance that one will fall sick. So it's the same thing in the spiritual life also. If we don't have a regulated spiritual life, then what does falling sick in spiritual life mean? People fall down, right? So this is what this prayashchita here is meaning. Okay, if someone can read here in page 3, from if somebody could just read page 3 from where Prabhupada is saying he compared to dormant Krishna consciousness, just that paragraph, if any one of you could read that.
Maji, do you want me to?
Sorry.
No, here
No, please go ahead.
page 3, he compared atonement when
Atonement.
elephants bathing to, I mean, the whole paragraph, if somebody could read.
He compared atonement to an elephant's bathing. The elephant may take a very nice bath in the river, but as soon as it comes onto the bank, it throws dirt all over its body. When then is what then is the value of its bathing? Similarly, many spiritual practitioners chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and at the same time commit many forbidden things, thinking that their chanting will counteract their offenses. Of the 10 types of offenses one can commit while chanting the holy name of the Lord, this offense is called Namno Balad Yasya Hi Papah Buddhi, committing sinful activities on the strength of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Similarly, certain Christians go to church to confess their sins, thinking that confessing their sins before a priest and performing some penance will relieve them from the results of their weekly sins. As soon as Saturday is over and Sunday comes, they again begin their sinful activities, expecting to be forgiven this next Saturday. This kind of prashchita or atonement is condemned by Parikshit Maharaj, the most intelligent king of his time. Shukadev Goswami, equally intelligent as befitting the spiritual master of Maharaj Parikshit, answered the king and confirmed that his statement concerning atonement was correct. A sinful activity cannot be counteracted by a pious activity. Thus, real Prayashchit atonement is the awakening of our dormant Krishna consciousness. Should I go on?
Yeah.
Real atonement involves coming to real knowledge, and for this, there is a standard process. When one follows a regulated hygienic process, he does not fall sick. A human being is meant to be trained according to certain principles to revive his original knowledge. Such a methodical life is described as tapasya. One can be gradually elevated to the standard of real knowledge or Krishna consciousness by practicing austerity and celibacy, brahmacharya, by controlling the mind, by controlling the senses, by giving up one's possessions in charity, being avowedly truthful, by keeping clean, and by practicing yoga asanas. However, if one is fortunate enough to get the association of a pure devotee, he can easily surpass all the practices for controlling the mind by the mystic yoga process simply by following the regulative principles of Krishna consciousness, refraining from illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling, and by engaging in the service of the Supreme Lord under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master. This easy process is being recommended by Srila Rupa Goswami.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So here we can see Prabhupada is explaining that I mean, elaborating this, one has to follow a regulated hygienic process. One does not fall sick. So we also have, if we follow hygienic and a clean spiritual life, we won't fall down, and that is possible. He's saying it's very easy when we are in the association of devotee. So here he says, however, if one is it takes association of a pure devotee, he can easily surpass all the practices for controlling the mind by the mystic yoga processes simply by following the regulative principles of Krishna consciousness. And this easy process is being recommended by Srila Rupa Goswami. It's very easy. I mean, they're quite similar in sense, like how we want a healthy lifestyle materially. If like I said, we want to eat healthy food and healthy habits, then we stay healthy. So the same goes for the spiritual life. Following the four regulative principles and chanting and associating with devotees, it will ease this process, what Srila Rupa Goswami has is giving. Okay. Now I would want Yagyadhanishth Prabhu, if you are here around, to divide. I don't know how many devotees are here. I think 15. So probably.
12 are
12.
yes.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes.
I'll support you with the breakout rooms.
Okay. Okay. So let me thank you. Let me first explain what you all need to be doing. Since it's an online thing, let us discuss. So split in 6 rooms. So probably it's going to go room 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I believe. Yes. So those who go in room 1, they take the point 1, and those who go in room 2 is Manasa, and the third is Krodha, and the 4 is Jiva, 5 is Udara, and 6 is Upastha. So what you have to do is the group 1, you discuss what are the inappropriate means, not the appropriate. Inappropriate means of sense control, of what are the inappropriate ways we would control the tongue, the mind, the anger, the belly and the genitals, and all these 6 urges. So if you could divide in 6, it's actually in the same order, like the verse has been there. So even if you miss out, it will be easy. So Vacha is the first, Manasa is the second, and third is the Krodha, fourth is the Jiva, fifth is Udara, and sixth is Upasta genitals. So inappropriate means for sense control. So Sampada, Sony, you can break them in 6 rooms, and you have got like 10 minutes. You can set up the time for 10 minutes, and then you all will be back in the main room. Yeah.
So Mataji, we don't have enough participants for 6 separate breakout rooms, because then there'll not even be like 2 participants in a room. Can I do 3 breakout rooms and each room can discuss 2 topics?
Okay, fine. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
So I've opened all rooms. Devotees will receive a request to join the rooms. Hello, Prabhu, can you please join your room?
Has everyone joined or?
Yes, Mataji. We just have one participant who hasn't, but everybody else has.
How do I get into these rooms?
I can help you with access, Mataji. I can put you in whichever room you want.
Yeah, I just want to go to each one and see what's happening there.
Okay.
Okay.
I've just sent you.
So what should I do? Stop and join?
So when you join the room, you will be in that room, and whenever you want to come back, you can just come back to the main room, and then I'll assign you to the next room. So
Okay,
I've
thank you.
the first room.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Sampada Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Mataji, sorry, my internet connection was weak. So Has everyone in the room like this? The conversation going on. Can you please help me? That what's the question? And can you please help me to be in the room any?
So you have to read the part that is relevant to one of the 6 urges, and then you have to prepare a skit with your group discussing the showing the inappropriate ways for you to do so. Let me put you in one of the rooms. I'll put you in room 1. There are 2 participants in the room, and let me do that.
Thank you, Mataji.
So now I see you doing this hosting. That means you are not able to take part. Since when you have been tortured like this? How many months? Don't worry, Yagya Danish is not around.
I think for the
whole course.
For the 2 weeks that I was here, I was on and off, so I wasn't hosting. I think
Rest of the course.
Yeah,
except the two weeks, that was like 3 months. Hardly part of any exercise because you are doing the hosting, and I have no clue. There's no point sorting it out now. We'll discuss that maybe later. I apologize.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, you owe it. You owe it. We'll discuss more. This might be, recorded.
Seems like we only finished.
And
Should I close all the rooms, Mataji?
Yes.
I think everybody should be back in about 60 seconds. Everybody's back, Mataji.
Okay, good. So the first group, whoever was in the room one, maybe one devotee from room one can share what did they discuss.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, yes, we discussed in the room. First is Vacha. The inappropriate way is to control, is like someone can say that, no, I don't speak good, I'm not intelligent, so I'll keep silence. So, but that's not the solution. So it's being silent, because it will not help for, first of all, it will not help for long. And as we read in Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, that we should engage all our senses in the service of Krishna. So instead of keeping mona, if we engage our vacha in glorifying Krishna, talk about Krishna, so that will help us, and that will also help us to spread the Krishna consciousness. So we should engage our vacha, our tongue, to like saying Krishna, to do in Krishna service. Second, is mansa. Mansa means mind, and we, as in Bhagavad Gita, we also in the 6th chapter we say, we hears that Arjuna says that how difficult is to control the mind. If Arjuna is saying this, how difficult is to control the mind, and if I say that I will control the mind, like, no, I will not do this, I will not do that. And we also see that there are two things in controlling the mind. Like, first thing, we if we refrain our mind to not to do something, and this is our mentality, that will go to that direction. We can take the example of a child. If we say not to do this, child will get more curious to do that thing only. And in the beginning, and as I was saying, that there are two things, that if we make our mind, in the beginning, if our mind is not our friend, if then it will take us to the wrong way. And as we have to train our mind to be Krishna conscious, how will it be? To, when we engage our senses in the service of Krishna, then automatically our mind will go in the positive direction. As we say, satatam kirtayanto mam, no, this one, that always remember Krishna, never forget him, never forget Krishna. So smartavya satatam Vishnu, Vishnumartavya na jatuchit. So we have to train our, instead of controlling, no, not to do this and that, so we should train our mind to go and engage our senses in the service of Krishna. Then our mind automatically, after some time, gradually, it will we will think and do Krishna consciousness activity, and we can engage our mind in Krishna consciousness only. This is the best and appropriate way to do. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Thank you. The second group, Krodha and Jiva.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. We were in the second room and we had Krodha and Jiva. So Gaurav Prabhu is going to say something about Krodha, and Uchi Mataji will say something about Jiva. Yes, Gaurav.
Okay.
Sure. I think some background noise is coming. Anyone can? Yeah. So we had discussed about anger. By discussing about anger, we discussed like this inappropriate means of anger is showing anger to a devotee or to Lord, or anything which is happening for the propagation of the Sankirtana movement. It's like inappropriate means, or and anything material. We're showing anger for satisfying our any material desire. That is also not proper, appropriate. On the other side, appropriate means is like we can see from the example of how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed anger to Jagai and Madhai for hurting Nityanand Prabhu. Even Hanuman showing anger while and burnt the total Lanka. Also, Arjuna showed anger and fought the battle. And there is even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed anger towards Chandkazi for disturbing the Sankirtana movement. So these are the several appropriate things. Just contrary to that, you can think about the inappropriate things of anger. Also, there are a few other points that we discussed. Is like if you are putting some grudge towards a devotee, and that will also turn out to be an inappropriate use of anger. So we can develop an attitude of forgiveness, and I think these are the things.
Yeah, having grudges eventually, that's something inside, and that will blast out. one day or another. So that's very very inappropriate way to just not show the anger and have the grudges. So that is not helpful in our bhakti. Yes, thank you very much, Prabhu.
Yes, Ruchi Mataji, please say something about Jiva.
जी प्रभु जी, हरे कृष्ण माता जी. uh, uh, in order to control inappropriate of controlling the tongue is overindulging in eating prasadam. Since we are not able to eat outside food very easily and often, hence hence to try to control the tongue by overindulging ourselves, which is not very good for our health also, and it is also included in sense gratification. That is an inappropriate of way of controlling the tongue.
Yeah, Prabhupada said that one doesn't die of uh, under eating. One dies because of overeating. Um, and we can see actually many examples around us also. Um, as you said that yes, since we cannot eat outside, so then we are like, okay, so when you go to Govinda's, then you order all sorts of stuff, which is fine, but we need to see the limit of the intake and not overdo stuff and control. Like Mahaprabhu said once that I shouldn't eat sweets, and then he was told, no, that's Jagannath's Maha, so how could you say that? And then he's like, I'm a sannyasi, so I'm not supposed to eat so much sweets, because if I start eating, then everyone is going to follow, do the same thing. So and also Mahaprabhu has also mentioned that like don't eat good food and we are good, because that actually ultimately binds us. I mean, in the initial Krishna consciousness, we are being encouraged that we come, there's a switch from the materialism to spiritualism. But eventually, as we advance, if we wanted to advance, then we have to give up all these things eventually, and actually focus ourselves only towards serving Krishna. We have joined this Krishna conscious movement to become Krishna conscious. And how we become Krishna conscious? By serving him and actually minimizing our bodily requirements or urges. So yeah, so these are inappropriate ways which could in a long run, which would affect our spiritual life. Okay, so
Yes, Mataji, may I ask a question here?
yeah, yes.
Related to this Jiva only, Ruchi Mataji, with Ruchi Mataji, actually, we were when discussing in the room. So Ruchi Mataji was saying that overindulgence in honoring the prasadam also cannot help us. Of course, honoring prasadam is the way to control our Jiva, but overindulgence in honoring the prasadam, like accepting only palatable dishes and leaving aside the ordinary items, I think it also doesn't help. So can you please throw some light over this?
Like, yeah, I mean, I think in the room, like I was mentioned in the breakout room, I don't remember. Like, if somebody likes paneer or whatever, some exotic thing which are quite heavy in that sense. So if we keep eating only that, so that will how you say, that is going to affect our health eventually, and I mean materially. And also, rather than actually tasting Krishna's mercy or receiving Krishna's mercy, it becomes our own enjoyment, you know. I mean, initially when we are cooking, it's like, okay, you switch over, like, okay, you were eating this, so now you cook without onion, garlics, and things like that. then eventually when we are cooking, it should be for the pleasure for the Lord, not for our, our sense enjoyment, because I like it. It should be eventually for the Lord's pleasure. um okay, like there, there's a child is there. So then when the child cries, okay, doesn't speak much. So whether the child is hungry or the child wants to be put into sleep, or or his diaper has to be changed, every time it's the same cry. Okay, it's the same crying. So how does the mother understand that the baby is crying for this purpose? So as we keep serving, the mother understands that the baby is crying for this reason. He's hungry or she's hungry, or his nappy needs to be changed, or he's sleepy or she is sleepy. So as we keep serving the Lord, we will understand, Krishna will give us that intelligence to understand that this activity, whatever we are doing of cooking or offering, this should be for his pleasure. When we will be doing it for his pleasure, then our sense enjoyment will automatically reduce down, because we can't, like, chop off things. You have to, if you want to take out something, then you have to fill it with something, no? Because we can't live in void. So we have to cook, we have to eat something. So then eventually that consciousness, when it changes, so then we are actually partaking that prasadam also, we will limit ourselves. So it's an eventual and gradual process. It's not probably going to happen overnight. For some maybe, but for most of us, it's not an overnight process. Depending on our conditioning, where we come from, and how much we are ready to forego that, to that degree, we will be Krishna conscious, that we will be conscious of Krishna, that we are eating this to keep our soul and body together, not for our sense enjoyment. Like if you see the Bhoga Arati song of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, or anywhere, even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are a lot of instances where Mahaprabhu was served prasadam by many, many devotees, how they cooked so fondly and so lovingly for him. So that is the highest thing, not for our own sense pleasure, because I like to eat this, I cook this. That probably in the beginning stages, but eventually we have to let that go off if we wanted to advance in Krishna consciousness.
Okay, Mataji, thank you so much.
Priya Satyabhama, what's your question?
No, I was just remembering one quote that Prabhupada used to say, or I've heard it from Shuddhagirti Prabhu as well. So Prabhupada used to say, Prasadam will never harm you. It might kill you. It will never harm you. So overindulging in Prasadam, it can kill you, but will never harm you.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, thank you for the comment. So so there's one more there, or we are done? One more point is there, I think. Yeah, one more group has still to discuss, the Udara and Upastha.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes.
So we will be starting with the Udara part.
Mm-hmm.
For explaining the Udara part, we have two skits. So the first one, I am the mentor, and Aradhya Gadadhar Prabhu, he's my mentee. Shall I start, Prabhuji?
Yeah, Mataji, can we hide the like screen that is being shared? So I can get a view of the skit.
Mataji, could you stop sharing? Then I can spotlight both of their videos.
Oh, I should stop share screen. Okay, his voice, sorry, voice wasn't clear. So. Okay.
Am I audible now? Voice is clear?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Hare Krishna, Aradhya Gadadhar Prabhu. How are you today?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I am very, very fine. Mataji, you know, today is Ekachi, and like every time, every time, I have decided from now on, I heard in a lecture that you should try to keep Ekachi Nirjala because there are only two things that are pure in this world. That is, one is chanting of the holy name and one is Nirjala Ekachi. So now onwards, I will keep every Ekachi Nirjala and that will start from today. So since
But,
morning, I've kept Nirjala.
but Prabhu, you have committed me for some service. Do you think you will be able to manage your fasting and the service simultaneously?
I'm afraid, Mataji, I guess that would be a bit difficult. I guess I can, I can skip the services or I can procrastinate the services for timing, because personal sadhana is also very, very important. Prabhupada says that first sadhana, then seva, then book reading. So I can procrastinate that.
That's there, Prabhu. Definitely, Prabhupada said that, but Prabhupada also said that you should not uh, disrespect the service that you have been allotted by Radha Rani. So this, like you chose for this service, you were enthusiastic for this service. Now, how can you change your plans all of a sudden? I think you should reconsider your decision.
Like I heard this in the lecture. I guess you were only saying in the lecture. So Madhuri, I'm following you only indirectly. So out of the two instruction, I thought I can follow this one. This would be good for my spiritual health. I will follow this one, Mataji. Yeah. Mataji, we can skip it for the timing. I will do it someday later. Okay, Mataji. Okay, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, it's a Krishna consciousness is a voluntary process. I can't force you, but that was not expected of you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for being so much passionate upon me, for allowing me. Thank you, Mataji. Mataji, this was like it. I mean, sometimes because of under fast, being trying to fast or trying to be, keeping oneself free from extra food or something like this. Some devotees are able to serve also and able to do nirjala also, but not everyone is able to do the same. And sometimes a devotee takes this as an alibi for not executing services. So one should be whatever one does, even in regard to sadhana, it should be under the proper guidance of the counselor or a mentor. Yeah, so this is one thing. And Mother, we also have one skit that is for overeating. So the Mataji, if you could spotlight Vidyavati.
Radha Gaurpriya Mataji.
Sorry, yeah, Radha Gaurpriya Mataji.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah,
Shall we start?
Mataji, you can start. Okay, so in this play, like I am the son, and Radha Gaurpriya Mataji, she will be acting as my mother. So like and currently I am in college life, or you can say in school life. So I'm studying, and I'm that kind of a student likes to eat a lot, especially delicious food stuff. So and now what's going to happen that you can see now. Mom, please give me food. Mom, very, very hungry. Mom, I haven't taken anything since
What
morning.
will you like to have today?
I guess yesterday we had jalebi, so we can have pasta. That would be fine, mother.
Yeah, great. I'll make it for you.
Okay, thank you, mother. Thank you, mom.
Have this.
Oh, it's looking wonderful. It's looking scrumptious. I guess I must eat all of this. I'm sure you don't want to eat it, no? Okay, you don't
No,
want
no,
to.
you.
Okay, thank you. I'll eat it all.
So what will you like to have tomorrow?
Tomorrow is long distance. 2-3 hours later also, like I want to eat something. So I guess I can eat khasta kachori and potato vegetable. That would be wonderful. Papa likes khasta kachori a lot. So I would also like to have that.
Okay, I'll
Two,
make
three
it
hours
for
later.
you.
Okay.
So
Mom, is
son,
it
what will you
ready?
like to
I'm
have tomorrow?
waiting.
Have this.
All right. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
What will you like to have tomorrow?
It's only 7 o'clock. I am planning to study till 11 o'clock. So I guess around 10:30 also I would like to have something. So please pray. In the evening, we shouldn't take heavy. We should take light. So just make some cheese chili. That would be light cheese chili. Nothing more than that. And a bit of finger
Is it
chips also
light?
there. Yeah, it's light for as per my standard. It is very light. So you can make some that and some bit of finger chips.
French fries.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, have this.
Okay. That's enough for the day, mom. Mom, what will we do for tomorrow morning? What do we have in the menu for tomorrow morning?
What will you like to have tomorrow?
Um, I guess we can have some aloo ka paratha and we can have fruit tea. It's been long time
You
since we
tell me
last.
in advance what will you have in breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay.
Mom, what are you doing? Why are you overfeeding him always? Look the way he's putting onto his belly. Please be merciful on him and just reduce some items from his menu. Don't be such a over merciful mother.
But is she your friend? Mom, is she your friend? Why did you mom? You can tell,
She's
you
your
can ask
elder
her to do.
sister. No, she's
Prabhuji,
your
I'm
elder
supposed to be your sister. Sorry, I interrupted you.
I'm sorry, I didn't read, for all the things. So many of the things, Mataji, actually we planned on chat box only. We are not aware of everything. Anyways, okay. So, yeah, Mataji, why are you intruding? It's between me and my mom. Please don't intrude. I have made a nice schedule for me. Every 3 hours I will study and I will, I have awarded myself. If I study good for 3 hours, I will eat something delicious.
But Prabhu, overeating will make you lazy and your performance in your exams will go down. You don't realize.
Oh, no. That's not the case. You see, Prabhupada says that Krishna conscious prasadam should be fed. When we went to Africa, Prabhupada fed everyone lots and lots of prasadam. So the more the prasadam that we have, the more it will be good. The more I will have prasadam, the more it will increase my concentration power. Prasadam is spiritual. It's not material. The more I eat it, more I will become Krishna conscious and more my concentration power increase. So we can have as much of prasadam. There is no limit to how much prasadam we can eat.
No, but we should also have Satoguni Prasadam. We should not have Rajoguni Prasadam. There should be a balance in our, like the way we eat our prasadam. It's not we should only have the heavy food and not the light food.
In the night, I will take night food. I will take some cheese sticky and some finger chips, some chomin and some pasta. Light prasad I will take in the dinner. And now you can give me with some heavy prasadam. Okay, I guess we can end here. Yeah, Mataji, this was an example of overeating and not overeating. This was an example of extreme overeating.
Thank you so much for the wonderful performance, all three of you. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
You made it possible that online skits are possible. I was a bit kind of, not sure how this group is and how it's going to happen. But yeah, thank you. So,
Mataji, we also have the urge of genitals. Sorry, we could not perform a skit for that, but Prabhuji will share some views.
okay, sure.
Yeah. So I will just some notes that I made from my book. I will just share the same. Prabhupada said in 11th canto, 21st chapter, verse number 19, that lust creates quarrel among men. And since sexual desire can never be satisfied, lusty person ultimately becomes frustrated with his own sex partner and thus a love-hate relationship develops. And this is one of the cause of so many divorces happening in the world today, because the relationship is only based, as it's mentioned in scriptures also, that in Kali Yuga, the husband-wife relation will be only based on sexual desire. So this is one thing that Prabhupada says. And then in 11th chapter, verse 20, 11th canto, 26th chapter, verse 17, but tells about how Pururava, he frankly admitted that Urvashi is not the real cause of his suffering. It's because Pururava was extremely attached to sexual desire in relation to Urvashi. That is the cause of his being suffering by the laws of material nature. And another thing that Prabhupada says is in 11th canto, 28th chapter, verse number 30, he says, in sexual association with woman, man is driven to enjoy the female form again and again, and he remains lusty up to the moment of death. So we all know the famous example of Akbar and Birbal, where Akbar asked that, told Birbal that when will the sex desire go away? Birbal told that it will never go until the point of death. Then Birbal asked Akbar to let's go to someone's house who is going to die very soon, and let's go with your daughter. When they went, all of the time that guy who was about to die was on his deathbed. He was just concentrating upon the daughter of Akbar and no one else. This tells that if one is sexually, attached, I mean, too much attached to sexual desires, and then he will remain luscious to the moment of death, and at the time of death, he won't be able to think of Krishna. One more thing that Prabhupada says is great rulers of man, even those who are learned, meet frustration and failure because of material lust. And driven by lust, these kings place great hope and faith in the dead lump of flesh called the body. Very famous example in this regard is of Cleopatra and Julius Caesar. That Julius Caesar, he might be the king of a big kingdom, but ultimately he was so much attached to Cleopatra that led to his fall down. This and final thing to conclude in the Bhagavad Gita 5th chapter, verse number 21, Prabhupada says, spiritual realization and sex pleasure go all together. But a person engaged in Krishna consciousness can work with greater vigor without sex pleasure, which he avoids. That is the test in spiritual realization. So it means that if we want to advance spiritually, we must try to give up sex desire. And devotees, because they are in Krishna consciousness, they can easily overcome the sex desire because of being engaged in Krishna consciousness.
Thank you. Thank you for those references. And also, like Prabhupada has mentioned, that the fact this material world is because of the sex desire, and the fact that we are in the material world is because of that. We came in this material world. So yeah, so we need to let go of all these urges and engage in Krishna consciousness. So I see two hands here. Priya Mukund Prabhu, have a question.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu.
So Mataji, I had a practical question. So, for example, in Mayapur, let's say, we get Ratri Bhog. If there are 3 people to finish, there is obviously not humanly possible to finish off, that big Ratri Bhog thali, right? So it so happens, that 8 o'clock, you cannot find anybody in Mayapur to share the Ratri Bhoj with. You have to finish it, honor it, complete it. You cannot throw it out. So isn't that overindulgence sometimes? And sometimes, Mataji, practically this happens, you've had prasadam, I've had this experience. Somebody comes and says, oh, I've gotten Jagannath prasadam. Nobody in the right mind can say no to Jagannath prasadam, right? So even though you're stuffed up to here, you still, have to honor it, accept it. So, you may not want to indulge your senses, but you still have to honor prasadam. And, sometimes in the process of honoring, you end up, becoming overladen with food. So how do we handle that?
I mean that night prasadam, Ratri Bhog, there are few items which can withhold until the next day morning. So you could just honor whatever is perishable, I would say, and the other items, the dry items, and like the puris and the other stuff, they can still go on until the next day, even if it's in the hot summer. Only the sabjis won't stay that long. So yeah, so you could do that. And yeah, sometimes it may be difficult, but that's not like how you say, that's not something happens every day.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So something which and still we can find ways, like if somebody gets some dry prasadam from Jagannath Puri, you can honor something at that moment to reciprocate that, and the rest you could have it later. So that could be done, because many times in Mayapur, they usually devotees, when they go to Puri, they come to Mayapur, so they always get this box of prasadam. So I definitely am not able to uh, finish in one go, so I just have something at that time to honor, and then the rest you could have it later. We all need to find a little bit of balanced approach, what's proper, and at the same time it's practical for us as well. But yeah, sometimes things may go out of control, or we are, but that just happens once in a while. But if just happens consistently every single day, so that could be a problem for us then.
Yeah. Then that probably means we're seeking out opportunities to hug.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you, bro. Yes, Rukmini Hari Sevani Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, I have one doubt. Please forgive me if I say something but it's coming in my mind. Mataji, first thing is that if suppose, for example, if I like sweets, that's my attachment. It can be my attachment to sweets. And there is a statement that if you have any attachment, even for a chocolate to eat, or a toffee or a candy to eat, that Prabhupada says that you will have to stay back to this material world. So yes, Mataji. But Mataji, my question is, like, as we say that, as we see that Prabhupada likes kachoris. He's a charya, and I know about so many sannyasis. They have also liking that. I know about His Holiness Gopal Krishna Swami Maharaj. He likes the rajma rice very much, and about His Holiness Bhakti Madhuri Govind Swami Maharaj. He used to honor Charanamrit half of the glass, and he used to have a cake. He used to like cake. So Mataji, can you please help that how to have a vision to see senior acharyas if they like something, and of course, so if you can help.
See, we all have our own likings, okay? Like for them, for the other senior devotees as well. But it is not that they're dying for it. You understand? Like they're not working for that particular item, that I'm going to go for this home program or for this thing because I'm going to get that. That's not the point. That is something which comes on the way. So that is not the focus point. We all may have our likings of how we wear, how we eat, and how we do things. That's completely fine. We have to be normal. We still haven't reached that Goswami level, just having a glass of buttermilk, and just or like we Haridas Thakur chant 192 rounds a day. We still haven't come to that level yet. We are practicing devotees. That is why these 6 urges are given is the first step for the practicing devotees. So we can see these likings, we may have, but that is fine, that's natural. But it is that shouldn't hinder our Krishna consciousness. Like the skit which was performed, the devotee is fasting Nirjala Khachi is not bad. Okay, it's very good. But if you could do that and do the service also, that's great. But if it is hampering your service, then you need to see what's the right thing. We are in a preaching moment, right? So preaching is the main you can say business, or preaching is the main activity. Otherwise Prabhupada would have instructed everybody to just do Nirjala Ekachi. But preaching, book distribution, that's our main activity. So we can add things to that. doing some austerities on Ekadashi, eating only fruits or whatever, but it shouldn't hamper your service. Service is more important. Because if you see, now that you have gone through all the books, most of the books, this is the last book which is we are going to go through. What is the gist of all the shlokas in Bhagavad Gita, all the nectar of devotion, Ishopanishad? Though all the verses are different, the translations are different. But what is Prabhupada saying in each and every purport? That's very, very astounding and astonishing to read, that each and every purport Prabhupada is saying devotional service is only going to take you back to Godhead. Right? You take out even if Bhagavad Gita, any shloka is saying about Karma Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga or any yoga, Prabhupada has translated that, but in the purport, what is he saying? He's saying that devotional service, that one has to do devotional service. That's the only way to be Krishna conscious, to reach Krishna. So that is the most important thing. And all these things, controlling this, they all help us to become Krishna conscious, to do our devotional service properly. Why we shouldn't be eating more, or even prasad? Because it hampers. If you keep eating more, we won't be able to perform a service. It's very simple and practical. So yeah, it's any one of us could have any liking to anything. That's completely fine. Just let us be normal. But we have to understand the internal, the main, how you say, is aim of us being here in Krishna consciousness is to be Krishna conscious. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
All right. Is there something in the chat? Let's see. Okay. So how do I see this? So now I'll share the screen to. I don't see that option. Okay. So here we were, and so through Krishna consciousness, how we can control these six urges, speaking rather than just speaking anything. We use our propensity of speaking and glorifying the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, and manasa fixing one's mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. And Krodha, becoming angry with those who blaspheme the devotee or the devotees of the Lord. Some of the devotees share that in their group exercise. And Jiva, by controlling the tongue by supplying prasadam, and that prasadam also in appropriate quantities. Udara, observe fasting days like Ekadashi Janmashtami. We can restrain the demands of the belly, and that also in a restricted way. And Upastha, begetting of Krishna conscious children, like using our genitals to beget Krishna conscious children, which will propagate more this Krishna conscious movement and become more preachers. And now we can see many of our new devotees, or the young devotees, they are doing such nice kirtans, and they have learned so many shlokas. So it's nice to have Krishna conscious children. Okay, so this shloka has two parts. Okay, the first part was these six urges. It has to be controlled, and now the second part, which explains that etan vegan yo vishayeta dhiraha sarvam apima prithvim sashishya. So a sober person who can control these six urges is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So the conclusion is this: one who can control all these items, speech, mind, anger, tongue, belly, and genitals, he is to be called as a Goswami. And such a person is qualified to make disciples all over the world. He can instruct everyone, because if one is not is not able to control these six urges, then he cannot make disciples. So that's what this shloka is saying. Like as I said, this shloka is not like is not a direct part as a bhakti as such. This is like a staircase to reach the temple of bhakti, which is going to come in the consecutive verses following the next one. So this is just a staircase, so that it allows us to enter into the temple of bhakti. So to control these six urges are very, very important um, in 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 a sadhaka's life. And if you see these verses, how they are being compiled by Rupa Goswami, like really stepwise process. And this is like for a very neophyte person, this stage. And then the next verses, they tell you the do's and don'ts. When we join anything, like an institution, we have always been told the do's and the don'ts. We're not just always told only the don'ts. The do's are also important, because it's not just only there's a don't, but then what do you do then? So those verses second and third, they're the do's and don'ts, and then we eventually see how we can cultivate those qualities of being a devotee, and then progress in this path of bhakti to reach that higher stage of prema. So these 11 verses, they are like a garland of verses, for any practicing sadhaka to practice from the beginning, from the stage 0 to the highest stage. So the Nectar of Instruction has come out very nice. This is when Prabhupada saw this book being printed. It is very important and must be immediately read by all devotees. In the near future, we shall introduce Bhakti Sastri examination for second initiation, and this shall be one of the required books of study. Anyone who reads it will immediately understand what Krishna consciousness is. So here we can see this is a window for us to understand what Krishna consciousness is. What is Krishna consciousness? How we can be Krishna conscious, and how do we keep that on being Krishna consciousness, being Krishna conscious to reach that highest goal of Brahman. All right. Thank you. If anybody has any question, we can take a couple of them. Otherwise, we can end the class.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Mataji, am I audible?
Yes.
Mataji, like we hear that these NOIs, of course, it's applicable for all the neophytes in the Mahabharata also. We also do hear that this NOI is very practical for the neophyte devotees, Kanishta devotees.
What's your question? What is applicable to Kanishta Adhikari?
NOI, this book, NOI.
Uh-huh.
Like we hear that, I mean, I guess in the preface or wherever it is written, that this is very much for the neophytes. But if we see from the neophyte point of view, first verse, the first two lines are fine, but the next two lines of the first two of the first verse is, such a person who has controlled all the six senses is eligible to make disciples all over the world. So, I mean, this is not much in regard to the neophyte devotee. I mean, this is like appears like this is for the advanced devotees, that this is a condition the
This
guru.
is this is a practicing Madhyama Adhikari also. Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, practicing Madhyam, you mean to say this last two lines, or
Yeah, to make disciples all over the world. That's for Madhyama Adhikari. So one starts with the Kanishta and he controls these urges, and that's when he will eventually, climb up the ladder.
okay. So you mean to say that for a neophyte, if he follows this, he can reach to the level of a Madhyam Adhikari. So therefore, this is
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes.
Mataji, I have one question. I don't know that how is this is this very much linked to what we have read, but it's coming to my mind. If you can, if you find it appropriate, please answer. Otherwise, you can please. Mataji, I read in the Krishna book that once Durvasa Muni came and all the gopis prepared prasad for Durvasa Muni especially. And Durvasa Muni ate all the prasad. And when they gopis have to came back to their places, to their homes, Durvasa Muni, there was a Yamuna. So Durvasa Muni said that you just say to Yamuna that if I have not eaten anything, then Yamuna, please give the way. And Yamuna gave the way to gopis. Mataji, how to, if you can help to understand that Durvasa Muni ate all the prasad and he's saying that I have not eaten anything, and Yamuna Devi gave the way. So can you please help understanding this?
I'm not very clear. I vaguely remember this. Can you repeat what you said?
Okay, Mataji, with this, there was one more example that Gopis also said to Krishna, Krishna also, when Gopi has to cross the Yamuna, Krishna said to Gopis that you said that I am a brahmachari and Yamuna will give you the way. Same like this, Durvasa Muni said that Gopis prepared prasad for Durvasa Muni. He honored all the prasad, he honored everything. And then Durvasa Muni said, then you go back and say to Yamuna that if I have not give the way, if I have not eaten anything. But Durvasa Muni have honored all the prasad and Yamuna gave the way. Like this. Sorry if I'm not able to make you, I'm not able to explain properly.
Yeah, maybe you can send me this reference, and then I can see, because it's not very clear to me. Yeah.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you for the session.
Thank you. All right. So I think we'll. Bimla Prasad Prabhu, you have to say something.
No, I was just like, I was just trying to maybe contribute to what Rukmini Harisevani Maji has to say. Am I audible? I'm not sure.
Yes, yes.
This pastime is a quite popular pastime, and as I understand, often misunderstood pastime also. So, as I understand the pastime and of popular pastime like Krishna, I mean, we can leave Krishna out of that equation. Krishna very difficult to predict, and try to capture Krishna in one principle. So far, Durvasa Muni is concerned, the soul doesn't eat anything. Sufficient to say that soul doesn't eat anything. Soul only watches as what the body is like doing. So a person of the stature of Yamuna understands that. So she understands that the self-realized person who doesn't see himself as the body anymore has got nothing to do with the activities of the body. And hence, Durvasa Muni is speaking the truth. So that's all I have to say. That's all I understand it to be. That's it. I'm sorry. I mean, I hope I'm not intruding. I only hope I'm not intruding. I apologize, Mataji, otherwise.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you so much, Raj. Thank you.
All right, so I don't see any hands here. So we will continue tomorrow at 7 o'clock, and with the next verse of Lecture of Instruction. So thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Maji.
Thank you very much.